Hi, I'm Jeremiah.
I'm Neela.
And I'm Wesley, and we're the Lumineers, and you're watching France 24.
Their debut album resulted in 2 Grammy nominations and a standout single in Ho Hey. Four years on, and the Lumineers are determined to build on their promising start with new record, Cleopatra. With every success comes expectation. Was that something that you felt when you were recording the second record?
Yeah, I think so. I think there were expectations, but we were pretty hard on ourselves more as far as trying to write an album. I think that what we found with the first one was that the reason I think it had legs and we had what the start we had was because there was an album behind it. And we would play Ho Hey third or fourth in the set just to prove the point that we had written an entire record. And a lot of people would stick with us to the end of the set and sing every word to all the songs. And I think it was scary in the sense that how are we going to do that again? How are we going to write a complete album so that if we're lucky enough that someone grabs onto one song and they take one bite, that they go and eat the whole thing? Because it's hard if you just have to skip every other song on a record. You don't want to make an album like that.
Now, one thing you've already mentioned is your use of percussion. It seems very important in the songs that you use. It's also a common thread in this record, following on from your first album. Is that something that is a conscious effort, or just something that you were drawn to quite naturally?
Yeah, I think it's both, or it's conscious and it's something we're drawn to. I think as like our formative years, when I was 14, 15, it was Metallica, the 8-piece double kick drum set, bigger, more complicated, equaled better. And now it's sort of come full circle where simple, but the same amount of passion goes into those simple style. And I think it's a simple way to try to set us apart. It's still the fundamental of music, of rhythm and percussion, but just a slight, subtle way to try to kind of separate us from the pack a little bit.
Your new single, Ophelia, has that theme running through it as well. Is it about falling in love with someone or something in particular?
It can be, if that's how you see it. It seemed like that's what happened with some songs on the first record, where it's not really up to us to tell you what it's about.
Ophelia, you've been on my mind, girl, since the flood. Ophelia, heaven help a fool who falls in love.
I think it was written with the line of you've been on my mind since the flood. I think it's talking about this wave that we experienced of change and that washing over us and then sort of dealing with the aftermath of that. And I think being a little frightened of what that does to groups of people, you don't want to get swept up with that. You want to sort of stay who you are.
Can I ask you about Manana, who
Sure.
I understand is a taxi driver who has oddly taken center stage?
Manana, yeah.
How did she become a focal point of some of your songs?
Because her story was so compelling, just this idea that she had fallen in love at around 16 and then her father dies, and then in the midst of all that, the love of what turns out to be her life proposes to her, and then she's so numb she doesn't respond, and he leaves and tracks out footprints, and then she leaves those footprints and won't clean them, and he never comes back. And that's how I heard of her, through this story, and it drew me in, and I learned more and more about her and how now she drives taxis, and she's this very strong, defiant woman, but she's had a hard life, and so her story it's not the typical Hollywood story, but there's something really compelling about it.
Ask for but I admit it, I would marry you in an instant. Damn your wife, I'd be your mistress to have you.
Have you explained this to her? Does she know what a muse that she's been for your writing and your
Well, she's part of the story. You kind of tell a story that combines different ideas. But yeah, for sure, we have friends back in Georgia who have told her about the song and played it for her, and because you want to do her justice. You don't want her to feel, you want her to feel good about it. So I think she does. Well, one day we'll go over and play it for her in person.
This has been a very long process for all of you. I mean, the band in its infancy started about a decade ago. Was there ever a moment where you just thought it's really not going to happen for us?
I mean, at times, I think everyone, it would only be natural to feel that way. I think leaving Brooklyn was the most positive step, even though it felt like the biggest throwing in the towel moment. You know, it's just sort of, the idea was coming to Brooklyn, New York, and thinking this is where my dreams will come true. I'll work very hard, and then leaving feeling really frustrated with that scene. But then going to Denver and finding all of this amazing community, meeting Neela, then beginning to tour really seriously. It's sort of a happy accident how life works out. If you keep sort of knocking on the door and trying different things, but you can't really predict it.
Let's talk about being on the road. And you went from playing all of these very small bars, and then you suddenly arrive on all these main stage at festivals, and everyone's expecting a lot of you. Was there a moment where you realized, oh, we've made it?
I think there were a lot of those moments in a short amount of time, but I do specifically remember when we played Coachella. That felt just like really massive for us, and I think it was our first day where we had like guitar techs and all these things added. And it was at like a kind of a weird time, it's at like 5 o'clock, and there were so many people there to see it, and it felt like this is really huge for us because that happened pretty quickly.
So somebody proposed on the side of the stage during our set too. Like,
Yeah,
what's
there's
gonna
a lot
happen next?
happening. You know, and Coachella too, it's just like celebrity ridden, and you know, there's all these people sitting kind of at the front. That guy from Entourage, I remember, was sitting there watching the set. It's like, this is weird. I don't know.
Yeah.
And you were nominated for 2 Grammys for that same album. Was that another moment where you realized, I'm surrounded by Kanye West and all of these huge stars? How did that feel?
It was strange,
Yeah, it was
right?
Very
strange and
surreal.
a huge honor to be invited to the party. I think that we didn't ever expect something like that to happen, and to actually be nominated, it did so much for us. Even though we lost both awards, it was like probably the best and biggest thing that ever happened in this band, because it just put us over the top, and it was a huge honor.
Well, obviously, a big part of that success was Ho Hey.
I've been trying to do it right. I've been living a lonely life. I've been sleeping here instead. I've been sleeping in my bed. Sleeping in my bed.
When you finished writing and recording that song, did you realize what you had on your hands?
I don't think so. I don't think anybody did, to be honest. And it sort of snuck up on all of us. I think we always thought it would be really fun and a good song live. But when it came down to it, we couldn't capture what was happening live. And so I think we finally somehow got it right. I think we just layered a bunch of stomps and it finally started to feel alive and like we do live. But it was this Cinderella that sort of crept up every chart, it seemed like, and then all of a sudden a lot of people knew us.
What would you class as a success for this record? What are you aiming for?
3 million records. No.
Yeah, triple platinum
Yeah.
sounds about right.
I think for us it already feels like that was the hardest thing, is to actually feel like you did something that you really, on your own terms, that you believed in. That alone has got to be enough, because the rest of it is completely out of your hands. It would be nice if people listen to it and gravitate towards it, but we've had so much validation already. It's like we just want to continue to do things that we feel proud of and you know, connected with.
I think every validation checkpoint too means something different for everybody. Like President Barack Obama put "Stubborn Love" on his playlist, and I'm almost numb to that. I can't acknowledge what that means.
When we were young, when it got cold, ooh, we bundled up. I can't be told, I can't be done.
Our first CD was really popular in our old public library in New Jersey, and to me that meant like the world, you know? So it's weird, it's different for everybody.
Yeah, we got to make it to the Ramsey Public Library.
Yeah.
Are your parents still cussing out your newspaper clippings?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Now it's all digital. I have to tell my mom to turn off the Google alert because she's gonna read some nasty things, one day or something.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
Thank
thanks
you for having me.
Thank you so much.